All right, looks like Andrew worked his magic. The meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. So just a general welcome to perhaps millions who are watching us this very night. So, all right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order officially. And just looking for somebody to approve the agenda along with me. Need a second for that. Approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second, Glenn.
Thank you very much. And then I need someone to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make the motion, Glenn.
Thanks very much. Welcome, Jeff. I'll second it. And we're going to call those approved. And then just like to welcome anybody from the community who's watching on YouTube. Hope you get the better side of the park board members here. So we're kind of all adjusting now that we're live here. Make sure you get a better side of our faces and stuff. With that, we'd like to kind of just get started. If anybody's from the community wants to introduce themselves, just kind of let them kind of say hi. And if they've got a specific purpose for attending tonight's meeting, you're welcome to state that as well. Kind of open it up for a few minutes. I'm not hearing anybody at this point, Andrew. So I'm going to go ahead and
they won't be able to talk live to you, but I don't have anything in the comments.
Okay, thanks very much. That's what I was looking for. So let's start with the first agenda item, which is the renovation itself. Kyle, you want to kind of update us real quick on sort of just the status of where we're at?
Yeah, we have Melissa Reddy from Platt and also Rob Keller from Bayer and Becker online. And we got some questions just for you guys. Rob, first one's just for you, and we're going to kind of jump into this renovation, and we'll go back to all our park stuff at the end, and they can get off. Rob, with us already bidding this out 2 other times, when would you think be the best time for us to look to rebid this process out? We don't want to, I know we've already turned some people off doing it twice, doing all the work, but to me, the work might be already done also, so it might be easier for them. But what's your thoughts on when would be our best time to possibly put this out to bid once we have it all ready?
Yeah, Kyle, I would suggest we at least wait till the new year. I know I've been working with a lot of the contractors. Everybody's trying to finish their year end up, close out projects as best they can. So I think if we can wait till the first of the year, we'll get their attention better. Yeah, there's no question with going to a third bid, we're going to have a couple that I know they're going to call me and say, hey, are they serious now or what's going on? So we need to make sure you guys have a strong budget and we're fairly accurate on our numbers and we can put a good bid out there and get some good results. But I think we'll get bidders. I think if we can give them a good window, I would think many of them don't have too much backlog yet, and we can bid it early in the year to start, construction in the spring if you like, and then try to finish it up by the fall.
What's a good window, Rob?
I would try to wait towards the end of January. If we want to maybe advertise it, say the end of January, we probably want to have it on the street for about 3 or 4 weeks. So we would, maybe open bids end of February. That gives time to evaluate, and we can marry that up with one of your council meetings if you need to. But it seems like by the time you go to council, get contracts, takes 4 weeks or better. So to me, that would marry up well with construction start in April, if that's what you're looking for.
I mean, speaking for me, that I think that's a very good timeline. As long as we can, we know the park's going to have to be closed down. We understand that. But the sooner that we can get the project started, I think our budget, I think I sent you all that information. I think our budget is strong as it's ever been with the city council's commitment and what we have in our coffer. So I'm pretty sure that, barring, construction costs going through the roof, multiplier compared to what it was last time, I really believe that we've got enough to do what we want to do. Rob, were you okay when and just for the council's knowledge from we talked last time, Would it be okay for us to add the playground as an additional add-on? Get rid of the maintenance shed that we had last time, and then also keep the refinishing of the tennis court, so we'd have two add-ons. Would that still be okay within that time frame and within the bidding that out, you think?
Yeah, I think we'll need to revise the drawings to take that maintenance garage, and I think there was 26 parking spaces that we were going to eliminate for that.
Correct.
There's some storm sewer, so yeah, we do have a little bit of work there to revise the drawings, and then we'll requantify it. And
Rob, just for your notes, we also want to make sure that that third tennis court's a part of that resurfacing and
yes, and that was going to be my next. We did not have that in the original bid.
Okay,
we only had the
like
two. Yeah,
right. We would like all three of those to be refurnished on that. So, and again, it's something, if it comes in like it did last time so high, I know that we can spend less and get that done. If we're going to do an add-on with it. Yes.
So we probably want to have that as an alternate. So whether the tennis courts is an alternate, what about the playground? What about the playground equipment? You want to have that as an alternate?
That would be my other alternate, and getting rid of the maintenance shed.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing we don't want to do is, and park board, you guys jump in, please. We don't want to do is put everything in it and it comes into 1.75 and we don't have the money again. So we would like those things to be added on. If we have the money, if they come in low enough, we can again get those in. And again, I'm almost positive we can get the playground equipment in on what we've got. And again, according to how high the tennis courts are, I'm pretty sure that we can either do them or do it with the bid. But that's one of the things we can cross that bridge at another day. But I do think that we would like for those things added. Now, that's my take. Everybody else, Glenn, Asina, you guys chime in, but I thought that's what we kind of discussed.
I agree with that. I think that's what we discussed too. Having those things as alternates was the solution, so that we're not in the same place again for the fourth time with
Correct.
The bids are too much for what we have.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to ask you a question real quick. Kind of the reverse question of how soon can we get it out? How late can we get it out and still get it done next year? Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, we think the site work is going to take, maybe 4 to 5 months. The goal was to have the contractor come in. I'm thinking through it out loud, so you're going to hear me talk through it, but
sure.
The site contractor would come in and do the demolition and get the pad ready for the pavilion. When that way, the pavilion contractor could move in, start building the new pavilion while there's still site work going on down at the ball fields, parking lot, etc. So I think we thought the pavilion may take like 6 months to build, and the site work was maybe 4 to 5 months, but there's going to be a little overlap. So it's probably, if we started in April, it may take till the end of the year.
Okay.
How's that boat up with the weather and like the months that we're going to be limited and things of that nature? Is that going to be a positive for starting in January, getting this out in March? It seems like it would since it's end of winter, but is that a good time to be doing it, you think?
Well, I think it's a good time to bid it during the winter months, and then that way we have a contractor on board.
Okay.
And we can authorize them to go, April 1, if you want to say, and then they just got to play the weather game. Recently it seems like May and June have been very wet, and it doesn't really dry up till July, but then July, August, September, October, very dry. So
yeah, Rob, I just found a file. It looks like from your other timeline was 9 months for the last bid. Would have been 9 months would be perfect weather, everything's perfect. 11 months on the other end.
Yeah, so that's what
9 to 11. So that's what it was.
If you start in April and we get decent weather, it'll be done by the end of the year.
Okay, that's what it's got.
Which is about 9
to maybe January. Yeah. All right.
So what might occur is, hopefully I can get in there, get the pad ready for the pavilion. Then the weather's not as bad. But where the weather's going to hold us back is when we got to do the earthwork for the fields. I could see that maybe that may not happen until July.
Right.
When it's drier, July, August. And sometimes you want to time that where we get in September and then we got a good season to do the seed. We want to be doing the seed in the fall. September and October.
Okay. Any other questions about that, guys, before we move on?
Just one more. So Rob, if we get the seed down in the fall, would teams be able to play baseball or soccer on that field then the following spring? Or will we be waiting one more year to give the grass a chance to go and everything?
I'm going to say probably won't be ready in the spring. We'll probably have to overseed and reseed again in the spring. And then it'd be ready for the following fall, unfortunately. I mean, you never know if we can get a good thick, but you want that grass to get rooted in there, and it may have to sit.
So Kyle, it might be worth letting the baseball teams that used it this year
Right.
know that it might not be available next year.
And soccer is also going to be unavailable during this time
Right.
period. The first
Right.
year, not seating wise, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll
Exactly.
get that
Yep.
out. Yeah, I'll get that out.
Yeah.
Okay, if anybody else has any questions about the timeline or the dates, anybody have any kind of questions for Rob at that point? Okay, Rob, my next thing is what we talked about before. I don't know if the park board saw, I sent you guys Play World or Playscapes. I sent you a couple different links for different playground equipment, things of that nature. And we've not really sat down and talked about playground stuff. But it's one of the things that we're going to have to do. And the last time we bid this out, again, it was 13, 14 years ago. So it was a long time. We had a lot of problems with matching up. Bids some were really high, some were really low. We really need to make sure that we need to go apples to apples with the bid process of what we want. And I think Rob kind of agreed with it. It's almost like we want to be able to pick out the structures that we want. My personal thing is that we would do a preschool one, which they call an early childhood, which is 0 to 5, 0 to 7. And that would be one structure. That's what we have now. And then away from that, we would put a structure that is from 5 to 12-year-olds. And that would be the playground. Then we would add the swings, one end with the adult children swings and the handicap / baby swings on the other. For my personal, just being up there all the time in the mornings with parents up there, those structures are used the most and the swings are used the most. It's the other little, what they call the components that aren't used as much, and they're kind of pricey, but we can look at them. For you guys, just to kind of give you a scale of that, the train that we have up there, it has you have the engine and the two parts, and then the caboose at the end. The slide comes off the engine, but that's 4 little pieces, components that we have in that one corner. That right there is $22,000. That's what that cost. That's not installation. That was the cost of that. And those things add up when you did that. We had a couple other smaller things up there that we put up there. The one thing also it's used is that climbing wall. That's kind of used. But we'll have to look at that and maybe pick out things that we want to put in the bid process for them. Rob, is that our best bet to do, would you say, to come up with the pieces that we want? Or do we have to say like the size of the pieces so they could get whatever type or whatever ones they want? What's the best way of us doing that to get this ready for that January bid date?
Well, that's a good question, Kyle. I mean, there's a couple different ways. I mean, if you guys know what you want, I think we can kind of lay out a general scope of the items that we want, and then the contractor can provide quotes from various manufacturers, because there's going to be multiple manufacturers that provide this. The other thing you could do is almost do a design build and do it separate from this bid, because it is kind of an isolated area. We could do totally something, separate from this bid, if you had a budget in mind.
Yeah, my again, just thinking off the top of my head and been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, but my biggest worry is that these companies, they're going to sub it out, of course, the actual playground work. but I do like the idea of having more control over who puts in the playground, if that makes sense. The original installer, more expensive stuff like that. And I think if we did bid it separately, you might have better control of what we're getting and better people that are used to doing that process. But I also, and I'm gonna use one of Jeff's quotes here. We don't want to put this off. We don't kick the can down the road another 2 months for that.
Right.
I want this to stay within our scope of the timeline that we've got. If we do that as a separate bid,
Well, the reason I say that is, Kyle, is because we have a site utility contractor. Okay, so this is an earthwork utility contractor. Well, he's probably never done playground equipment, and then we have a building contractor who's really more like a general contractor. Has subcontractors for concrete and framing and electrical and lighting, and he's probably going to have to hire somebody to do this playground install that maybe isn't who you really want,
Right.
Or maybe not qualified. Maybe the manufacturer has certain requirements on the installer or something. So let me get with John Cody on this afterwards and talk through it. But again, I'm not saying we can't bid it with this, but it doesn't mean we got to kick it 3 months down the road, but it might make more sense to bid it separately. And we can control a little bit better that way. But I think it could fall in line with this bid process.
Okay, that would be my biggest concern. Is as long as we can keep it. I don't want to do this project take 12 months and then do the playground take another 4 months. I know it doesn't take long, but that's one of the things I don't want to do.
Rob,
so,
can you make those? Can you kind of force, if you get two different bidders or two different contracts, can you force them to kind of work together? That would be the other concern I would have with a scenario like that, is that the one contractor might say, well, you can't do that today because I need to do X, Y, and Z today. Is there a way to write something like that?
We have that currently in our specs, because right now we're basically getting two bids. We're getting a site contractor and we're getting a building contractor. So you have two separate bids. Even the two bids that we've already done, you had two separate contractors. So yeah, and in our specs, we had written in there, that there's got to be cooperation, coordination between the two. We actually had a kind of a sequence of construction, so everybody knew how it was going to work.
Right.
So that was understood that there was going to have to be coordination between the site utility contractor and the building contractor. Now we'd be adding a third, which I don't think it's an issue, because it is kind of out of the construction limits of the building and the site works. I don't see really an issue with it. I think we can work around that.
Could we? Go ahead.
This is John Cody. Sorry.
Hey, John.
I've been here just kind of listening, but there's several things that we need to consider. So you've got the area defined, right? We've got an existing safety surface, and within that surface, depending on the equipment that you have, you're going to have certain fall zones. So certain requirements for the safety around those pieces. We need to think about, I think there's one of two things. We can either select a preferred vendor like Playworld or someone else, give them the parameters of that space and say, this is what we want to have. And they will help in terms of layout, making sure that all of those things are in place. Second thing you could do is establish a program like you've been talking about, which says we want swings, but we need to define how many. If we're going to have a piece of equipment like a slide of some sort, we've got to establish what that is. You can go that route, but like you said, it's harder to get these companies to bid similar things, because one person's slide is not the other person's slide. Their system, as they come together, are reliant on certain things that are unique to them. I think that's why you have a hard time getting the apples to apples, but you can try to program or that space indicating what exactly you want to have. So Rob, I think you're right. I think we need to really sit down and understand kind of what we're working with so we can provide better guidance. The other thing to keep in mind with the maintenance shed and those parking spaces not being in the project anymore, that playground is more isolated. So you don't have the general contractor, the site contractor, the building contractor is closely tied to the playground equipment. And I wonder if you tie that into another bid, general contractor is going to mark that up because now they're managing that, the schedule, et cetera. So, there will be a premium of some sort, I would think. I can't imagine that they would agree to coordinate that without some fee. So there are a lot of considerations, I think, that we need to take into account as we go down this path. That's a whole lot of information to digest, guys, but that's just based on what I'm hearing in the conversation.
Hey, John, would we be able to go with like a Play World and have them design it and we bid that out? Would that be too specific to them, or is that something, or do we have like a Kentucky have a, do we have state grants or state contracts that can be done with playgrounds? I mean, is that something that has to be bidded out? Just asking. I don't know. I know some things don't have to be.
Yeah, no, I need to dig into that a little bit further. But if you go with a Play World, they're going to have proprietary equipment, right? So they're going to have their swing set. They're going to call it a certain thing, and you may not get the exact same piece of equipment from another manufacturer. You'll get something similar.
Right.
So then it gets into quality of the equipment. You're going to have a variety. You're going to have some that are going to be on the lower end. Not that the quality is poor, but then you're going to get everything from your Volkswagen to your Lamborghini, right? And so that's where it becomes a little more difficult. It's like doing a design build for irrigation. And I know that you've had irrigation that you've been dealing with, at the high school. There's so many companies. You can say, hey, we're going to irrigate, we're going to use drip irrigation, but that means a lot of different things to a lot of different vendors. So it's harder to zero in on that and get those exact bids. There are going to be certain things or features in one system, one manufacturer than another. They could impact that bottom line.
Just from speaking, this my personal opinion would be, it'd be awesome if we could pick out the pieces that we want, the structures, the swings, and any extras that we want, any other of those components, and put that in a design bid. I mean, if that's something we legally can do, I think that would be the best thing.
That's the other question. Can you be proprietary, given that it's a public park, or do you have to have, a situation where you've got 3 bids so that it's competitively bid? So I think that we're probably, I'm not sure that we can sole source it to somebody, to be honest with you. We'd have to understand that, I think, from the city side, from the park board side.
Yeah, I'll chime in real quick on that, Kyle. I don't think it's Andrew, everybody. I don't think there would be a way to sole source playground equipment. I don't think it's going to fit into that as far as specialization goes. I realize they all have sort of their proprietary things, and you really have to be careful even when you put together a bid, not to be too specific as to, not be sole sourcing, but basically be sole sourcing by your specs that you put out. So,
yeah, I think we're going to have to be a lot more generic in how we describe it.
Have to use that or equal clause quite a bit.
Okay. Or equal. Okay.
But, Kyle, in terms of timing, I mean, if we really don't, I think we have a little bit of time on this, just for the simple fact that you're not going to want to install this playground equipment until probably the fall, towards the end of this construction project, because we don't want anything we need to understand how long it's going to take to install. And I think we need to work backwards from there. I mean, there's no sense putting this playground equipment in May when you still have 4 or 5 more months worth of construction activity.
I agree completely. Yes.
So I think we have a little bit of time to figure it out. It might make sense to kind of, for John and us, get with you and revisit the area and maybe find out what you're wanting to install. And then we can, you might want to work with Melissa and guide you on what, we need to put out there to bid.
Okay.
So maybe this doesn't go to bid. For example, maybe this, I know you need that number, I guess, for your overall budget, but it might take till February. We might be a month behind on this or something. I'm just throwing out dates, but it might take a little more time to put this together.
Kyle, I'll jump in to get on that number. I think the other thing is with the playground equipment is it would be okay to have it separate. And I don't think it necessarily needs to be part of the overall budget, because if I'm not mistaken, what we talked about budget wise was that playground equipment was actually going to come out of the park fund in the 2021, 2022
Second
budget.
year. Yes.
So if
Yeah.
it's a separate bid and to, I think what Rob just said about it, I'm not sure who said Rob or John,
Yeah.
that it be in the fall, you're going to want the playground equipment installed at the end. So that timing wise works out perfect.
Okay. All right. Rob, can we still put in we have that wall issue, a retaining wall. Can that still be with the site work, or would that, I know that's around the playground, we have that one little issue with that hillside. Could that be in the site work, or is that something that would probably be with the playground bid? Would that make sense? I just
Yeah, I
want to make
think
sure
we,
we hit that
I
on one or
think
the
we
other.
want to put that in the site work.
Okay, because they already have the equipment there.
Would you agree, John? I mean, I don't think a playground equipment installer is going to want to deal with a wall. That's more of a landscape contract.
I
we
think
can-
that's a site contractor
Yeah,
thing, and you're already going to have equipment out there.
yeah,
Now, is that site, could that be the contractor that's building the pavilion since it's so close? I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't think you want to put that on the playground. I think the playground contractor is going to come in and install the playground equipment.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I think we put it on the site work, Kyle, and you know what? I probably need to walk that with you.
Okay.
Because, the first two bids, we weren't doing anything there. So quite honestly, I
Right.
didn't pay much attention to it. So I want to take a look at it and see what kind of wall we're looking at, what we're getting into.
Hey, can you also put in your notes, Rob, that can we check and make sure we don't need a fence around that or anything? We're not extending that playground up that, or excuse me, the parking lot up that way.
Right.
Because we were at the one point and there was a lot of worry about needing a fence with the playground or with the parking lot, excuse me, being up that way. But can we make sure that that's something we don't need when we walk it, and just, give me your 2 cents worth of what we need to do fence.
Yeah, let's take a look. I don't think there's any code that says you have to have a
Okay.
fence between your park and the parking lot, but
Okay.
I know there were some concerns with kids.
Yes.
The mom turns and looks away at the ball field, and then her other small child's
Right.
running in the parking lot, so. Yep, so
Okay.
fence in the wall, okay?
Yeah,
Is there
or
any?
some sort of
Go
a
ahead. No, Glenn, go ahead.
even like a natural barrier, I think might
Yeah.
be something to explore if we didn't want to go with a full, fence of some sort. Just, like shrubbery that would keep kids from walking through it, kind of thing.
Yeah, John Cody is our landscape architect. John, you still there? You
Yeah, I'm still here.
familiar with the concern that they had between the playground and the parking lot? And I know we got some room there. Maybe instead of a fence, maybe it's a buffer with some vegetation, shrubs or something.
I think the tricky part with that are sightlines, safety. If you get something opaque that's going to keep the kids from getting through there, it may be hard, because we're talking about the full age range, right, of these kids.
Mhm.
I'd like to give that some thought. I like the idea. I just don't want to put us in a position where we're going to be kicking ourselves down the road.
Yeah, let's take a look at it and come up with what's best for the city.
Okay,
I'm happy, Rob, when you guys go walk the site, I'm happy to join you if it's
Yeah.
of any value.
Have you guys used any group that I might be able to contact? I actually have on Thursday. I'm doing next Thursday. I'm doing a webcast thing with Playscapes, showing their process of doing playgrounds and looking at their designs and how they look at the earthwork, everything they do to do it. But is there a group locally that I could contact for them to give me ideas of things that we could do with the playground? Is there any groups that you might have used or anything, if that makes sense?
I don't know that we've worked with specific groups, but we've certainly worked with specific manufacturers to really dig into that. I can check. I'll check with Heather Wilno in our office. She's done quite a few playgrounds, and there may be some resources that we have that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, if you can send it to me, I don't mind contacting them, and I'd like them to look at the site and kind of give me some ideas of doing things. That's what we did last time. They came out and they did designs, and but again, I'd like to be able to talk to some people. To things have just changed so much in the times that we've done it. different things out there that we could possibly do.
Mhm.
I'd like to have some new ideas possibly.
Is the intent to just replace the equipment, or are we also looking at the safety surface?
I believe also the safety surface.
So we're looking at it holistically. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, John, we did that playground right there at the Sun Behavioral right there on Dulwich.
Yes.
Internal one of them courtyards, they had the safety. I know Heather was very involved with that one.
She was involved with that one. She's also involved with Common Ground Park in Mason, which was an all-access playground. That was actually quite large.
Yeah, Miami Whitewater, we did some stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
We'll get you some stuff, Kyle.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anybody have some questions for Rob, John? Miss Reddy would probably love a question. She's been on for almost 40 minutes and hasn't been asked a question. Everybody loved the pavilion. We'd have no issue with that. Anybody? Okay. Anybody any questions again for John or for Rob or Melissa? No, I think you guys, I appreciate you guys doing it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, Rob, I'll probably call you tomorrow or email you and kind of start seeing if we can start getting together, kind of looking at this, if you don't mind.
That sounds great. I'll be around.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it very much.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
All right.
All right. Kind of going back to the rest of the agenda here. You want to talk about the tennis courts?
Yeah, can I just add a couple of things since just you guys now?
Sure.
But my biggest,
And the other million people.
yeah, exactly, and the other million. I really think that it'd be nice if we could come up with exactly what we want to do with the playground. I know you guys were not around. I wish Mr. McKinley, again, he does not have a computer access. He was come out to my house actually and watch this, but he doesn't like driving at night this distance. So I like him to be a part of this. I cannot stress to you guys enough when we did it the last bid process how it was just, you had, like he said, the Lamborghini bids and you had the VW bugs down here. It was just unbelievable how many people bid it, and the difference of them were just unbelievable. I really think we need to be kind of specific of the cost that we want to look at and what kind of structures we want to look at for the park. And I sent you guys a couple links if you guys get some chances to look through that. But I really would love to be able to give Baron Becker an idea of exactly what we're looking for the preschool age kids, a structure that we're looking for the older kids, the different types of swing sets, and if there's any other components that we want to kind of make sure everybody's on the same page when we bid that out. I really think I think that make it more competitive for the bids, and I also think we'll get a better return on it. The last thing I want is to again extend this process out any further than what we have. So if we do bid this separate, that's fine. But again, I would like to be, I don't want this one project to end and then we're down another 6 months trying to get the other project done. I'd like to get it done when it's down for the main construction if we could. But that's just my 2 cents worth. So if you get a chance, look at those 2 links for Play World and Playscapes, and those 2 different age groups. And then there's also a little link for the components. Look on those, see what you guys like, what you don't like. There's also both have their own surfacing that's different. Also you can look at, and I'll meet with Baron Becker, but I would like for us to kind of get together maybe in a couple of weeks after I meet with Baron Becker and start looking at designs. I can send you guys all those designs, some PDFs, things of that nature, and we can discuss them on Zoom. But I do think that we really need to, I don't want to get behind the 8 ball on this. I don't want to get behind. I'd like to stay out in front of this if we could. But again, that's just my 2 cents.
Kyle, I do kind of agree with those guys that we could easily separate this out. All the bidders that we're going to have are going to do is mark this up and limit our options.
Okay, I agree. That's why I mentioned it first. I think it would be nice to be able to bid this out as long as it doesn't, again, add a lot of half a year or 6 months on top of whatever. Okay. That's all I
Can
had for
ask
the
a question
renovation. Yeah, Ms.
that
Beck.
along those lines, Kyle? So, I mean, I could look through those links and say, this looks great. I like this swing set. I like this component, but I don't have the expertise to know the things like they were talking about, like what kind of, you know, safety
Right.
features, how much space is needed. So is that something they could kind of help guide us with? If
Yes,
we
without a
said we
doubt.
like these things, how might they look?
What the best thing that we can do is that knowing that we're getting a new play surfacing, that takes out, if we do the surfacing like we have, it doesn't matter what equipment we put on, 'cause that's going to be ADA approval. I mean, we're not going to have any kind of safety issue, rephrase, with that, because it's all a give material. If we would put mulch in, or if we put soil down, or we put grass around it, that's when you got to worry about having the 8 inches, 12 inches, and things of that nature. With the surfacing we're going to put in, if it's anything like what we had, we won't have to worry about that. That's a positive. But my biggest thing is, like back to your first part, is that you can look at those pictures and see, okay, this is $20,000 structure. My thing is, like, I like it also, but when it goes out to bid, if they don't use the same one we're looking at, how do we get this piece or something that looks like it? If that makes sense. That's what I'm worried about. That's what just scares me about, taking the lowest bidder on things like that. That just scares me. But maybe we can come up with the diameter, the size of the equipment that we're looking for. Maybe on the structure, we want at least 3 slides that come off of it. It's so much, so big. So, different things like that. But we'll probably have to be really specific on each of the structures so we can get as close to apples as we can. Because we had like 7 bidders the last time. Little Tykes. I mean, we had, all these different things. And it's hard to look at one structure and compare it to something else. It's just not easy. And I think that's something that's hopefully Baron Becker can lead us in the next couple of weeks in the right direction to do that. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's helpful.
I just worry about that process. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Okay. I'll keep you guys updated, but I do think that once I meet with Baron Becker and start talking about this, I'll have to send you guys some emails, but I also would like to face and be able to look at some stuff and be able to comment on that. So I'll PDF some of those things to you. So when we do these, we can look at page 3, we can look at page 4, and we can kind of follow along the different designs that they might come up with. Now, to the actual park update for tonight, because I've already had you guys here for a while.
I'm sorry. Could I ask one more question?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Andrew could chime in. As we were going through the timeline, the one thing that popped into my mind, and this may have already been taken into consideration, but when we were looking at the revenue projections for 2021 and 21-22, we had there's a line item, new revenue rentals, $100 at $140, and it's $14,000, which in the grand scheme of this whole project, I know isn't a great deal, but when we don't have a lot of money and we're borrowing money, we want to pay attention to that. Do we need to tweak or revise those projections based on the timeline that they have given us, just so that we have a good sense of how much that we
I think
are going to bring in?
I think you're 100% correct, because you look at that. I'm looking at it right now, the 10-year projection. You're looking at 28,000 from 2021, 21, 22, and actually, listen to what he just said. You might have part of 22, 23 taken out too. So you might, you could possibly be losing up to $35,000 off of that, which would drop our line item in 24, 25 to closer to 35,000 or 40,000, if that makes sense. I don't know if you're looking at it, but I mean, that would affect it. And you're right, those first 2 years would definitely be affected, and possibly that 3rd year. I mean, honestly, yes. So I can go back and play with that and talk to Amy Gunther about that. But yeah, that's definitely something that we will not have in our coffer. There's no way. There's no way.
On the flip side of that, Kyle, though, we're not going to have that much in expense either. So
Oh, good point. Yeah, we're not going to have the operating expenses should go down tremendously those 2 years, or year and a half, whatever. Sure.
but yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to lose out on a couple of years, we should probably amend.
Definitely updated. Yeah. I'm looking at operating expenses. She did it half for 21-22, which, no offense, I can't really see us having more than minimal that year. So it might be a wash, but you're right. There is 3 years there that we do need to remedy. And I'll update that and I'll send this out to you guys. But I'll have to talk to Amy first just to get her approval to manipulate this. Okay. Okay, back to the park update. The only thing I've got really in this whole entire project is the park is closed down last Monday. We closed down the restrooms, so they are locked up. All the water to the park is closed down also. Secondly, we replaced a basketball rim at Crescent. This is one of those stupid things. I haven't replaced a basketball rim at Crescent Park probably in. The original was still up there up to about 3 months ago. Someone ripped it down. We got a double rim, replaced it. Someone bent it completely. We again took it down. I bought 2. I replaced the other one. It was taken down, bent completely off. So somebody's doing it, taking a truck back there or something and getting on it and just tearing it down. I'm not going to replace it until the spring. I mean, there's no reason to do it in the winter. Whoever's living around there, they must be doing it as a joke or whatever. And I don't know if you guys have been over there, but you can easily take a truck back there. And that's how we get back there to do all our other stuff. And whoever's doing it's just ripping down it and starting to actually affect the bottom part of the backboard itself. So eventually, if they keep doing it, we're probably going to have to replace the entire backboard. Good chance it could be somebody local doing it that just throwing it out there that I'm not going to replace that until it starts being used again, probably in March. Unless you guys want me to do it again, I can. But I have to order 2 more ones if I do. That's really my only issue right now at any of the parks, is that one rim being torn down a couple times and replaced and torn down. Let me see if I got anything else. In all honesty, guys, I don't have, that's really all I have for you guys. Andrew, one thing for you, did you by chance get any more information on that wireless situation for the park itself? Any of the camera security for our security cameras?
I am still trying to get some confirmation on that.
Okay. Again, as long as we have that, I mean, we got another 12, 14 months to worry about it, but as long as we can get that up when we get the park done, I think that would be very beneficial. I have us meeting again on January the 5th officially. That's Tuesday, January the 5th at 7 o'clock. I would think, Andrew, that would still probably be a Zoom meeting. Is that correct? Most likely?
As of right now, basically we're keeping everything Zoom from the city standpoint while the county is red. So
okay. Yeah.
I think it's safe to say.
I think it's safe to say. Would you guys be okay if we earmark, let's say, and have a special Zoom meeting on maybe, let's say, maybe the 15th in 2 weeks? Give me 2 weeks to meet with Baron Becker, talk with some of these playground places and kind of narrow that down and narrow that in. And by then hopefully they'll have better scope of finalizing everything else on the site plan for the actual bid itself, and kind of answer some of the questions we did today. I mean, is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
A couple meeting again?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine with me.
Okay. I'll also, before that meeting, I'll probably send you guys.
I've got a meeting that week.
Okay.
It's a Zoom meeting, but I may have some appointments those evenings just for different reasons.
I'm okay doing it any night. You guys, everybody's available. I'm good.
That Thursday night.
That's fine with me.
Without
17th?
breaking any rules, Andrew, and with checking your all schedules. So that'd be the
17th.
17, yeah.
Shouldn't be any issues. I don't know that I have the full calendar right now, but I mean, there's plenty of time for notice and stuff like that. So
Okay. Ascena, can you guys look at your Jeff, Robert? Can you guys look and see those all the 17th?
17th's good for me too.
Okay,
Well,
17th.
17th
you all.
would work for me as well.
Okay, would you guys rather do this at 6 o'clock instead of 7, or is 7 okay with you guys?
If we
Say
could do
7, what do you-
6, that would be better.
Who else is for 6?
Does that
Jeff,
matter?
you go okay?
I can make
Robert,
it.
you okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll make it.
Okay,
work.
let's go 6 o'clock, and I'll send confirmation of that, guys. 6 o'clock on the 17th, and again, I'll hopefully have some more stuff from Baron Becker, and we'll kind of go from there. But again, are you guys okay with that timeline that he said? Again, getting this out to the main thing out to bid, mid to late January, open the bids late February, and again, late March, early April. Hopefully, have the site work started. Is that timeline fit what you guys want? Everything good with
Seems
that?
like if we're going to try to get it in next year, it's about have to.
I
Yep.
agree. I mean, I think so. All right. That's all I got, guys. I appreciate your time tonight. I just need a couple.
Do we have any community questions, Andrew?
Oh, my bad.
I will double check, but last I looked, there were no comments.
The millions and millions of people must be asleep.
No
Yes.
comment. And I believe I'm actually the only one watching it right now.
You didn't have to tell us that.
I feel kind
Uh,
of.
Sorry.
Oh, do the call for end of the meeting and let's get out of here.
All right. Anybody want to call for an adjournment?
All for an adjourned.
I need a second.
Second.
Done.
There you go. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Night.